podcast. As you guys all know by now, my name is Greg.
And I'm Jack. And today we're here with Reid VanScoter, who's playing for Coastal Carolina. We're really excited to have you. You're the first player we've had on the podcast. So, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's pretty cool. I've been keeping up. I've watched I've listened to a few of your videos. It's been pretty cool.
Oh, thank you. We're enjoying it. So this is just kind of a crazy coincidence on how this worked out, but we were just looking for players to interview, and I've always enjoyed watching Coastal Carolina play on ESPN, like during College World Series and whenever. So I just went to the roster, and I just picked a random player, which happened to be you. But it turns out our hometowns are like a few hours apart, and we actually know some of the same people. So I thought that was just kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. It was very random, and then I heard about you, and then the people we know. I was like, wow, that's pretty random. That's pretty cool coincidence for sure.
So, Reid, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? I know Jack was just alluding to the fact you play at Coastal Carolina. You want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm from upstate New York. I played at Livonia High School, and then I went to Binghamton University for 2 years. Had some stuff happen, and now I'm at Coastal Carolina. It's my fourth year of college baseball, and I do have 1 year left to play. So we'll see how that goes, if I need it or not, or what's going to happen. A lot of stuff's happening right now, regarding baseball. So we'll see where it takes me.
Definitely. So I want to ask a little bit more about, you've been playing baseball for so long. Can you tell us a little bit more about how baseball has been different going from the high school level to then you played at Binghamton University and now you play at Coastal Carolina? Give us a little bit about how each leg of your journey has been different.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the biggest thing was the big learning curve when you get to college. In high school, yeah, it's fun. You're with your boys all the time. It's really fun. Some people take it seriously. Some people don't. You don't know what to expect every time you step on the mound, who you're going to play, But when you get to college, it's strictly business all the time, every day, every practice, every lift. And I thought I fell in love with it the day I got to Binghamton. College baseball has been a very unique experience for me, and I've had the not your typical college experience playing baseball, but I'm very grateful for everything that happened. But I'd say the biggest thing is definitely just the level of talent that's always around you, no matter where you are or who you're playing against, and it's really, that's why I love the game. Anywhere, anytime. Like baseball is the type of sport where any team can win. No matter who you're up against. That's just why. I've always loved the game, and I'm like a super competitive person. So trying to have the edge over someone at all times. Just it gets harder as you go up. So, but yeah, that's. The biggest thing was definitely the learning curve, how to face hitters. Again, you're not just going to blow fastballs by everybody at this level, and it really made me adjust. And I've gotten pieced up a little bit here and there, and you got to make your adjustments as you go. So yeah.
Interesting. So I know you're saying you have another year left of eligibility, depending on where things are going. What are your future plans in baseball?
My future plans in baseball. So honestly, the plans can change at any time depending on, injury, where you're at, what scouts tell you, but my goal has always been to play in the major leagues, and that's obviously still my goal for sure. I've never blinked an eye in a different direction. But from where I'm at right now, it's very confusing because I don't know where I'll be. I might be coming back to Coastal next year. I might not. I might, it'd be, it's obviously my goal to get drafted. That'd be awesome. But you don't know until your name's selected. So I don't really know, honestly, where I'll be at, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. So, speaking about the draft, how do you feel about that? Have you talked to any scouts, or just you're playing at a very high college level, so there's obviously MLB scouts at a lot of your games.
Yeah, it's cool being here because we do have some guys like his name is Parker Chavers. He's kind of the eye catcher for our team, and he's a position player, so scouts can come to any game. There's constantly scouts there. I've seen him play multiple. We were just at Georgia State, like like kind of like a smaller college vibe in the middle of Atlanta. But there was 4 or 5 MLB scouts just waiting for him to come up to bat every time, and they get their phones out and record them, their cameras and stuff. So I mean, they could really show up anywhere, which is cool. But for me, the biggest thing for me was this past pro day in the fall. I had a really good pro day, and I broke my velocity. Like I peaked out in velocity that day, like that I had previously had in my entire life. And from that being from the left side, throwing left-handed is like a huge advantage to me. And so I did get a lot of attention over winter break. I actually got an agent earlier this year, an advisor earlier this year, and he's been helping me a lot. I've had to fill out a ton of stuff on the draft site. I just got a questionnaire sent to me yesterday from the Indians, but I've had about 10 to 12. Roughly a dozen meetings, Zoom calls, long conversations on the phone, stuff like that about like what to expect if A or B or C happens during the season. So it's been a really fun process, but they let us try to just play it out during the year. So I haven't been in contact during the season because they just want us to do our thing. But they'll reach back out after our season's over and let me know what their personal thoughts are with the organization. So we'll figure it out from there.
So when you know that there are scouts at the game and maybe specifically from a team that has shown interest in you, do you find yourself like reaching back a little farther on your fastball, trying to snap the breaking balls a little harder?
It's funny you say that because I mean I think we all try to ignore it as best we can, But I mean when a guy's there for you, you're like, oh, it's a 1-2 count. I know it's fast. He knows the fastball is coming. I know my coach is calling a fastball. I'm just gonna let this one eat. It does happen. It does happen. Sometimes you're like, it's almost like your typical waste pitch that we don't really use anymore. But we don't. I mean, I obviously try to throw it where my coach calls the location. But yeah, I'll reach back. And same thing with a breaker. I'll try to be like, okay, 0-2, 2-2 breaker. Try to make it an absolute banger and check the velo after, see what's going on, go from there. But it's try to ignore it as best we can, but there's always that subconscious little guy telling you, hey, let this one eat every once in a while. So yeah.
Interesting. So you want to tell us about how you're currently being used as a pitcher in Coastal Carolina, like what your role in the team is?
Yeah, it's I got to Coastal last year and freshly off Tommy John surgery, and on my way back from rehab, I actually developed a sharp pain in my middle finger, my throwing arm, and it wouldn't go away. It was unbearable. It was crazy. It was super weird. We couldn't figure it out. I got 2 cortisone shots in my hand to try to fix it. We didn't know what was going on, and my trainer was like, our last, like literally last option is to just get surgery and see what we could find. And if we find something, we'll fix it. If not, you're kind of on your own. So I got the surgery in December, and then I'm just rehabbing the whole time, not knowing what's going to happen. And finally, I played summer ball last year for the Martinsville Mustangs in the Coastal Plains League, and so that was 17 months post surgery from Tommy John. So coming into Coastal, they haven't really seen me pitch since like my sophomore year of high school, because I did get recruited by them out of high school, and you know I had to really start from the bottom because no one knew what to expect. And I mean, I was a starter at one point this year, and I tweaked my pronator muscle, my flexor pronator in my arm, and now I'm back in the pen. I got COVID. Everything's kind of a mess right now, but I've kind of been all over the place with how they use me.
But your ultimate goal is to start games?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what I would like. That's what I prefer to do. But I mean, I gotta take every chance I get. Right now I've had two appearances since my last start, and um, they've both been a little iffy. Trying to get my feel back, get my velocity back, get everything back in control. But it's hard. When we're just go go go. We've been on the road a ton this year, and it's hard to like find a groove at this point. But I'll get it back.
So do you find yourself when you're coming in relief, like you're only going to be pitching, 3 to 6 outs? Do you find yourself, trying to throw a little harder, like coming in like one of those higher leverage guys, or
Yeah.
you just take it exactly the same?
Um, it's definitely a different mentality that I had to get used to out of high school because obviously in high school, like I started usually pitch like 6 or 7 innings and then go from there.
Yeah, it's funny you say 6 or 7 innings out of high school because that's a complete game.
Yeah.
But I read online that you threw 6 no-hitters as a high schooler.
Yeah. That includes like summer ball, but yeah. But I mean, coming out of the bullpen definitely is like a different perspective. There's different matchups. Like, when you're starting, you're like, I got to face the whole team. You got to be ready for every guy. Out of the bullpen, it could be a matchup. Lefty, lefty, you come in and try to get one of their best guys who hits left-handed out right away, or try to get out of a jam. And pitching like when you start, game always starts 0-0. When you're coming in relief, it's you could be up a couple, down a couple, up big, down big. It could be bottom of the ninth, you get brought in, bases loaded, you could throw one pitch and they hit it and game's over. But so it's really like when they say Reid, get hot right now, ASAP, hurry, hurry, hurry. I get up, I stretch for a couple minutes, and they're like, all right, you're going in. I'm like, holy crap, all right, geez. But yeah, it's definitely a little different than starting for sure. Yeah.
So you said you had Tommy John surgery. I know a lot of us, we hear about players getting Tommy John. It's always like you're sitting back waiting. Do you want to go into a little bit more in depth about what recovery from Tommy John is like from the player's perspective?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. It was super weird how it happened. My freshman year, I mean, ever since I got to college, I've battled injury, which is crazy because I played 3 sports in high school, and I don't remember like anything significant other than like a pulled muscle in football, or that's really it. But as soon as I got to college, I started feeling this tightness in my forearm, and it wouldn't go away. So I'd take a couple weeks off, like with my trainer, and he'd help me out, like strengthen my scaps and the shoulders and stuff like that, try to take the pressure off from my elbow. And so I was fighting that my whole freshman year. I had a decent freshman year, and then my sophomore year, I was an opening weekend starter against Michigan, who that year, my sophomore year, was the runner-up in the College World Series to Vanderbilt. And in the fourth inning, I just, I threw a pitch, and my elbow just popped, and it was this crazy pain I've never experienced before. And I knew something was wrong, and I actually on the mound I was like, no way this is happening right now. Like I'm in the middle of a game. I'm in the zone. I'm locked in. I'm not like worried about getting hurt. But when that happened, I knew something was wrong. But I actually ended up throwing 2 more pitches, and then all 3 pitches went right down the middle. They were probably all 45, 50 miles an hour. So he actually struck out, and then that was the third out of the fourth inning, and I was like, Coach, I'm done. Something's wrong. So from that point on, uh, up till 17 months, I was just battling. I mean, it's tough mentally, I'd say, is the hardest part rather than physically, because physically, they have it down to a science, down to a T, where they know what they're doing. I went to New York City, got the New York Mets doctor, Dr. David Elchek, to give me the surgery. And, he did a great job. And I mean, I'm fine today. But uh, from the player's perspective, I would say like the biggest thing is really mental. Like, no, like, the first time it really reared back, like I felt like it took, a lot of like mental pressure off of me after I got that out of my way, like, cause you start off like in that big brace and you can barely be like, I'm moving my arm like this much. It's like barely at all, 30 to 60 degrees. And the rehab is every day, constant, every day. You can't play for over a year, and you're like, this sucks. I just want to be on the field, and it is tough. But a lot of people go through it these days, and it's kind of almost like a common thing to happen, which is crazy to say, but I mean, it's kind of grueling mentally after a while, but I mean, the moment you pitch in a game again, it is the coolest feeling ever. It feels like you're the first time you played baseball again. It really is. It's pretty cool.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about your pitches you throw on the mound? Go a little in depth about that.
Absolutely. So I used to throw a curveball. I used to think that was my greatest pitch. I used to think like that's my ticket, And it's funny because my first bullpen at Coastal, I was like, I'm ready to show my curveball. This is awesome, because the first couple bullpens are all fastballs, and then a couple weeks later it's like fastball changeup, and then I think the third week we get into like all your pitches. So the first time I threw a curveball, he's like, nope, you're gonna throw a slider from now on, and I'm like, what the heck? And so now I throw a slider, obviously, and I throw both a 2 and 4 seam fastball, and I also throw a circle changeup, which is a very good pitch to throw in college, but it's also, in my personal perspective, it's the hardest pitch to throw because if you leave that sucker up, it's gonna get hit. But yeah, that's my repertoire right now.
So you like facing lefties a lot better than I would assume.
I mean, to be honest, I'm more comfortable against righties because I've faced more of them in my life. I'd say, I mean, in college, I have probably faced more lefties, so I am used to it, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I've had better success against lefties. Just don't hang a slider. That's all.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you went from Binghamton to Coastal Carolina? How that transition happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I was originally going to go to Coastal. Like that's been my dream baseball school for a long time. We used to vacation in Myrtle Beach. Our high school played in Myrtle Beach. Every year we come down to Ripken or the Mingo Bay Classic to play in high school, and I was always like, Coastal Carolina, that'd be so cool. And but I had some like family stuff going on to where I was like, I want to stay close to home. They gave me a great offer. The coach recruited me well. He recruited me hard from the start. He stuck with me through the whole process, and I really dragged it out on him, but he stuck with me, so I respected that. And so I ended up going there first. It was kind of a looser structure, do this on your own, do that on your own type thing. Didn't have a pitching coach, and that was a big like aspect for me was I love being worked with one on one. That's how I know like I feel like I'm a priority, like I feel like I'm going to get better because I don't have all the answers. People who've coached many years, I mean, I totally respect that. They probably know more about the game than I do. So I like to have their perspective along with mine. So after I tore my UCL, I just decided I was like, man, this sucks. It's cold up here all the time. I was like, I think I'm gonna take a shot. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and bet on myself and see where this transfer portal takes me. So I had that tough conversation with my coach back at Binghamton, and he was super supportive of it. He's like, I'll help you any way I can. I respect you. I hope you're still successful. And we ended on good terms, totally. And so from that point on, I reached out to a few schools. A few schools reached out to me, and I actually was afraid to call Gary Gilmore, my head coach here at Coastal, because I still had his phone number. And one day I did call him, and I actually he didn't answer, and I was like, okay. And then I hung up because I panicked. I was like, I don't know what to say if I leave him a message. And then he actually texted me and said, Reid, did you mean to call me? Thanks, Gilly. And I was like, oh, so he still has my number saved. He knew who I was based on my call. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So we kind of hit it off from there, actually. And I was like, actually, I did mean to call you. I'm in the transfer portal. I was seeing if we could have a conversation, and it went on from there. I mean, they took me in with open arms. It was really fun. It was interesting to be back in the recruiting process for sure. It's a fun time. Like in high school, you're like, I don't know where I'm going to go. All these schools talk to you, hype you up, make you feel like you're going to be the the best guy in the world if you go there. But it was cool getting that type of attention again, and then finding another place to go to further your career. So I'm glad I ended up here, and it's working out so far. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's gotta be something, like you were saying, you always wanted to go to Coastal Carolina, and I mean now you're here.
Mm-hmm.
I think now you're there, right? I think that's something that's super awesome. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I can imagine it definitely took a weight off your shoulders once he texted you back and was like, Reid you me to call me. It was like, all right, good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I was like, holy crap, mom, daddy, call. He answered, know who I am. It was pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sorry about that, Greg.
you're good.
So do you ever like find yourself like just get a little starstruck with the situation? Because like I played baseball all throughout, my whole high school career and everything before that. And like if I found myself just playing for even like a Division III college, I would probably, just feel super proud. But like you've exceeded that, and you're playing at such a high level. Like, do you just ever like just can't believe the shoes you're standing in?
That did happen at first, when, we used to we went on vacation one year with my family to Cape Cod, and we watched a summer ball game. It's like the best league in the country, and we were like this was a couple years before I got to college, and my dad's like, he's like, you can't hype them up forever. You're gonna play against guys like that one day. I'm like, that's a good point. So when I first got to college, I'm like, wow, all these guys are good. All these guys are good. This, that. So I mean, you just kind of got to get over it really and realize that you're one of those guys. And to be successful, you have to know and act like you're better. You're better than these guys. So it's really a big mental thing. And when I first got to Coastal, we have a beautiful stadium here. I mean, the first couple weeks I was practicing on, I'm like, I mean, I can't believe what I'm around right now. Like I'm practicing in this beautiful stadium that I've never really even played in before. So I mean, it was pretty cool to know that, like, wow, I get to play here. I get to practice here every single day, and the weight room is actually underneath the stadium, like like in the stadium, and like just showing up every morning, even if it was at 6 a.m., 5:45, 6 a.m. It was you just kind of fall in love with it if you really love what you're doing, and embrace it. It's I mean you just fall in love with it even more. So I mean, yeah, I have a lot of appreciation for like who I play against, who is on my team. Like, Gary Gilmore is a living legend, especially in the college baseball world. So, I mean, there's just a point where you're like, all right, like I'm a part of this now. So you kind of just got to get used to it. But yeah, definitely at first I was like, this is awesome. You gotta initiate the appreciation factor, but then, you got to get to business at the same time.
So are there any guys you play against frequently or that you have played against that you just like totally respect, totally admire their game?
Um, yeah, I've played with Zach McCambly last year, and he was actually invited to big league spring training before even pitching in a minor league game this past year, and he got his first start 2 days ago. Struck out 7 and 4, just absolute stud. He's from around Scranton area in PA, or Mount Pocono. That's where he's from. And he like I became decent friends with him last year. Looked up to like the way he like just pitched on the mound with such presence, and like he just looks like an average guy. But I tell you, when he straps up, like he's an unbelievable athlete and he's an unbelievable pitcher. So I respect the heck out of his game, and I mean I can't wait to see him make it to the bigs, because there's no doubt in my mind within a couple of years he'll be starting for the Miami Marlins, and it's just cool to like be around and like have like I'm actually the house I'm living in right now is like where he used to live last year, but like it's kind of like it's cool to like follow in the footsteps of someone who's been there and is doing what I want to do one day, you know.
I can definitely imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely must also help to have that person that, like, if you're having those struggles, you can reach out to and be like, hey, like, when you get a minute, can you help me through this? Because like you were saying,
Absolutely.
they're living through what you plan to live through. So having that person who can help you with everything that, let you know the small mistakes they made and how to better counteract them,
Mm-hmm.
definitely got to be
Absolutely.
a huge support to have.
Yeah, yeah. Another guy I reached out to is Anthony Miniziano. He got drafted a couple years ago by the Royals, and he's a lefty who I trained with all summer. He played here the year before I got here, but since we like trained together and stuff, we actually became like really good friends. I talk to him all the time about like weight distribution, how to get down the mound, uh, how to sit in your back leg. Like, what did you do to go from 91 to 97? You know, from the left side, like. Man, I mean, I obviously aspire to do something like that. That'd be pretty cool. But he helps me a ton too, and it is cool to have those resources now that I've come here and experienced a little bit for myself.
Definitely. So are there any, speaking about how you have players who give you advice, is there any advice you would give to aspiring college baseball players, people who are looking to be in your shoes? What's some advice you would give them?
Absolutely, that's a fantastic question, actually. So my best advice would just be no matter like what happens. I mean, it is a process. You're not gonna gain 10 miles an hour in one throwing program or in one season. You're not gonna it's like nothing happens overnight. Baseball is a very unique game where guys who might not be the best athletes might be the best pitchers, and guys who are freak athletes can't play baseball. So it's a very unique and amazing game that is meant for anybody who wants to be good. So my best advice is if you really want to be good, then you can make yourself good, but it is a process and you got to trust it and you got to trust yourself. So betting on yourself is like betting on myself personally is the best thing that happened to me in my career. Because, transferring from Binghamton to Coastal, my parents, were super worried about it. I was super worried about it. Like no one really knew who I was anymore. It's been 2 years since I was last recruited. I wasn't like I'm kind of a northern name. No one knew who I was like down south. I didn't know what was going to happen if Coastal didn't work out. So, but as long as you bet on yourself and really trust the process, like I know it sounds cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. People say it because it's true. So that's definitely my best advice that I could give.
I think that's really all the questions I have to ask. I think that's a really good point to end on. Jack, do you have
Yeah.
anything else you want to add in?
Yeah. Reid, how are finals going?
Man, I'm swamped right now. I've been up late, staying up late, getting up early. It's tough, but this is my last. I think tomorrow's my last day, so we'll be all right. Just got to get through it, and then it's all baseball. What more can you ask for? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for taking the time for us.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you so much
absolutely.
for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we'll have
everyone.
to have you back at some point in the future.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure, absolutely.
Reid, is there anything you want to shout out while you're here?
Like to people
Or like to
or what?
people, any social media you want to shout out? Anything.
Um, I don't even know my handles off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you look up my name, you can give me a follow. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, like DM me. I mean, I'll answer. Stuff. I'm here to help people, just as people are to help me. You gotta keep it going. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. I had a great time.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
coming on, and thank everybody for listening.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a nice night.